everybody. Happy Friday from Adobe in San Francisco. I'm Ainsley. I'm here with Gayatri. We are not Talon. We're filling in for Talon this week. He's in Tokyo visiting customers and soaking up the culture there. So in his stead, we're going to continue the Adobe Designing XD tradition. And today, we are going to do something really fun that involves user submissions. So I just want to kind of like give a reminder for those who are maybe joining for the first time. Fridays at noon here on Adobe Live, we have Adobe XD featured content. So I'm not totally sure if it's like a regular cadence, but I know that it's a variety of portfolio reviews. Some weeks we do designing an Adobe XD feature in XD. So either we have an XD designer come on, or a user from the community will come on with Talon. Some weeks we do a creative challenge, and then some weeks Talon will just sort of talk about design process things. So this week is like kind of a combination of those, where it's like sort of a creative challenge, sort of a portfolio review, in the sense that we're going to be kind of looking at different submissions and talking about them. Not really like evaluating them, but just kind of rejoicing in like sharing work and the things that you all do.
Yeah, maybe even finding inspiration. Who knows?
Yeah, totally. So, I think, I should tell you, I'm Ainsley Wagoner. I work on XD. My title is technically experience designer. So I design, but I am a product designer, and I work on features on XD. You may know me from responsive resize. I don't know. I get asked that a lot. I get recognized on the street a lot for responsive resize. That was me. But me and a lot of people. So I worked on responsive resize, and I'm working on something right now which I can't tell you about, but I will tell you about it when it goes live. And this is my colleague, Gayatri.
Thank you. I have been on XD about 8 and 9 months. I feel like I add a month every time I'm here. And I have just hit the ground running. I'm also working on things that I can't talk about, learning a lot as I am designing about not just designing tools for other designers, but also pushing the boundaries of what tools can do. That's really been exciting working with XD. I have not been yet recognized on the street for anything. But
obviously I'm kidding about that.
But hopefully, shortly, we'll see.
Yes, yeah, one day we'll all get there. Yes, hey everybody on the live stream. Thank you for joining us. Definitely want to hear your thoughts on what we're talking about today. Hi, Michael and Daniela and JC and Suyag. Huxel, hi. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Ariana.
So thank you for joining us. And then again, to remind you, what we're doing today is Talon and one of our design colleagues, Sam, did a Adobe XD UI kit in Adobe XD. So, and then made that public for you all to kind of like help us design features, or to design your Adobe XD fantasy features. So
one thing to say about that also is that it's kind of almost pretty close to what we kind of work with when we're designing features without getting into too much details. I think, yeah, like even when we get started, we work at this level of like abstractness.
Yep.
So yeah, you guys are 80% there with the tools.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for saying that. I take it for granted, but when we as XD designers do literally design in XD, and it's very meta. We are designing in XD and we're using a UI kit that is like an XD looking UI kit. And so Talon and Sam thought, why don't we just make this available to the public for these types of fun projects where you guys can submit features and like kind of design along with us, but also because free UI kits are the best. So I think we kind of take it for granted that it's something we share as a team so that our designs look uniform, but also it's totally something that we can share with the public. So I think we can show you, like I'm talking about it, but on my computer is where you can download this yourself. I think it's most easy to kind of go to Twitter and find Talon or Howard's links to it. That's where I found it, but it's also at this URL, which is, it's a little complicated. I would maybe Google design your own Adobe XD feature with this UI kit. Or you can see here, you can see my URL. But, and you can search for this on Behance, but it's a really cool.
Oh yeah, if you just Google design your own XD feature, it's the first hit. Okay.
This is why there's two of us. So this is kind of a preview of it. It's really fun and colorful and like feels playful, which is a great headspace to get in. It is in the banner above the chat as well. Thank you, Paco. Yes. So, okay, find this on Behance, download it, and then I think it was tweeted out maybe a week or two ago, and so in that time people have found it and downloaded it and started designing with it. But I think what I would like to do first is just kind of take everyone through it. So you download it, you open it, and here it is. It's pretty compact. And I'm just gonna zoom in. So it's just kind of an explanation of saying, this is what we really use to design the things that you all eventually use and that eventually show up in the app. And we use this as experienced designers to kind of like get the idea across first. So eventually we do move into high fidelity mockups where we're using the real UI and like pixel perfect, everything's on our grid, and we're using things that look exactly like the app frame. But in the beginning, when you're thinking of a feature and you're just trying to get the idea across of like the main things, you don't need the exact property inspector. You don't need all of the details. You just want to tell the story. And that's something that if you tune into these live streams and you've watched Talon and guests before, you know that he's really good at that, at like using these UI kits to paint broad strokes, but then be specific about like the main story and the main feature that we're
Also, if you open this in your XD, or if you're a regular XD user, just as Howard mentioned in the chat, there might be some sneaks in here for what's about to come for XD.
Yes, it's true.
So there are definitely, what did you call it? Easter eggs? Or
yeah, Easter eggs.
In there for you if you, like, feel free to guess. But yeah, it's kind of fun in a way that if you use XD, you would kind of notice some differences.
Yeah, so maybe we can kind of take a closer look at it just for everyone to know, like, this is what you can use, and we can kind of walk through it. So this is the main app frame, and it has like a very fleshed out property inspector. And there's a note here that the layers and assets panel are also included under hidden layers. So that is, if you kind of have this selected and you open up the layers panel, you can sort of see right here that we have assets and layers panel, and those are currently turned off, but if you turn those on, they'll pop out.
Oh, that's helpful. I've never played with this, but this is super helpful. I might just be using this in my work too.
Yeah, I know, it is really helpful, and this is really nicely done.
Yep.
I see a question if I have an ASMR channel. I do not, but I am a fan of ASMR in general. It really relaxes me. I know for some people it kind of annoys them, but that's cool that you've pegged me as an ASMR person. So let's go over here. This is prototype mode. So again, it's so fun to look at this UI kit inside of XD because it's like a baby version of XD app frame itself.
Also, one of the other purposes this kind of tends to serve is that when you're working in an app, you want all those options available to you, but when you're trying to tell a story for a new feature in the app, you want the person who's looking at the app or your prototype to focus on the feature that you're designing and focus on the story and not get too lost in the details, because there are countless numbers of times that the conversation completely gets derailed by someone saying that should be 2 inches to the right, or
Right.
or it should be left aligned, or it should be centered. So these are times where you kind of like have that artistic license to just be like, just hear out the flow.
Yeah, this is like, don't look at this part, look at this part. This is being able to focus people on what you want them to focus on. I'm sure that you all have had that experience when you're presenting work. I don't know if anybody on the live stream has had that experience when you, like Gayatri is talking about, where you go to present work to your design team or to other stakeholders you're working with or with a client, and you're trying to get them to like look at one specific aspect of your design, but they get distracted by something else in your design because maybe it's too high fidelity, or maybe you kind of added something that was like ancillary to the feature.
Also, it kind of helps you work faster because, I mean, in the 8 months that I've been working at XD, I'm familiar with the app, but it's not kind of something that's like imprinted in my memory. And like every once in a while when I'm trying to work out a design, there are people who've been at XD really long. They're like, wait, is that button supposed to really be there? And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Yeah, so it helps you kind of just get working faster, having lesser mistakes in your work.
Exactly. So now we're kind of looking at the prototype mode, and this is if you switch over into prototype mode, I think we can kind of, again, sort of meta show there's different capabilities that you have in prototype mode. You have these wires that you can pull around and connect to other artboards. So that is, no, I'm gonna undo. But so this is back in design mode, the UI kit for that. So it's like showing you this little tab for the home artboard, and then these wires for connecting, and then this is an overlay for the different, excuse me, prototype interaction popovers. And then this is a third tab, and this is something that we want you to just like get your imagination flowing and also kind of get excited about what we're working on in the third tab. So if you haven't already, download this kit and maybe dream up what you would like to see in a third tab. What do you think would justify having a third mode? We have design and prototype, and what else, you know?
Also, don't feel like you need to limit yourself. Like, there could be third, fourth, or fifth. Don't go too crazy.
Yeah, no, this is now for you. We're putting it into the public's hands. And then down here we have other UI for mocking up your designs. If you want to kind of show your design in an actual phone frame or in the website Chrome, Howard's is
Don't say dark mode.
don't say dark mode. Oh boy. And then the canvas elements. Actually, I love having this, and I've definitely drawn this, like, I don't know about you, drawn these custom
Oh yeah.
many times. Or like you sort of try to borrow it from someone who's already done it, but I've definitely drawn like this and this many times. And it's really nice to have it just ready to go. And then I believe with responsive resize, it should make it pretty easy for you to, like, if this...
Change it.
Yeah, change the shape. You know what I'm trying to say. And I was going to ask you, I don't know what all these different colors are for.
They could be anything you dream up for it to be. But I think, I mean, of course, they're visually similar to the prototype mode. But they could be used, I can think of a couple of things that they could be used for, but I mean, I'm sure people, we also use the app every day, so there are certain things you kind of just take for granted, which is why something like this is kind of a refreshing take for us, because I think for a lot of things that we'll probably see later today, we'll kind of go like, well, why not?
Yeah.
Right? Like, why not do it this way? So yeah. Also, they're super visually pleasing.
Yes, I love the bright colors in this. I am a designer that loves to use color. It really turns my brain on. So I really appreciate that Sam kind of organized this in these nice, colorful ways. So the in-app preview window and plugin dialog, these are super helpful. Of course, if you have made your prototype and then you're ready to put it, kind of look at it on your phone, this is helping. This is the UI kit for you to mock up what that might look like if you're designing a feature for prototype mode, preview window. And then plugin dialog. So I don't know if you all have been playing with the plugins that's up here in on Mac in this menu bar, but it's there's a lot of great plugins. Hopefully you already know this, but depending on the plugin, let's see, what do I have? I have just a couple. I don't know. So this is an example of there's not many input fields in the actual plugin dialog, but there's other plugins where
there are quite a lot more.
Yeah, both of mine are like text related, and you have to have text selected. I don't know if you have plugins.
I have one for blend mode, which is actually, I believe, something that Talon and I forget who else. Somebody, I think it's something that was created internally. So there, if you select two colors, they kind of.
Oh, we switch over to Gayatri's screen real quick.
All. And I think I have blend. If you put in there, so there, you can customize it to whatever you want. I can put like 10 in there. So if I have two objects and I want to create kind of a cascading of colors in there, you hit OK, it generates that kind of
that
color.
Is so cool.
Yeah, so that's one of the ones that I was kind of playing around with for my own work. But yeah, there are a number of things that you could do, imagine up even with this tiny kind of workspace to create your own plugins.
So this is kind of a 2-in-1 because we are really interested in your idea for plugins, and actually this is slightly tangential, but it was just announced that Adobe has a plugin accelerator.
Yes, if you Google or follow us on Twitter, you could not have missed that we have a plugins fund. So if you have an idea, this is actually a great kit to get started with.
Yep.
And ask Adobe for funding to help you build it. And I believe there are quite a few submissions already that have come on. Feel free to explore them too.
Yes.
In here. There are quite a few in here.
Okay, so maybe you just take us through that last piece of
Yeah.
what's in the UI kit.
All right. So I think a lot of us spend time kind of Googling or looking for these icons. We kind of threw in some icons quickly for you in there to get started faster. Of course, there's the cloud icon. Some of these are generic. Some of these are more, I think these are all actually Adobe's own icon set. We, of course, have a larger library of these, but this is a small case of things that you might want to use.
Yeah.
Maybe we're even trying to hint on the plugins or features that we kind of want to see more of. In this too, I can already see some sneaks, actually.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this would be helpful if, like we have been saying, the UI kit is these broad strokes, so you can design a feature and really focus on your ideas. But say if you were designing something along the lines of a text feature, that's where you can start to add these icons and flesh out that particular part of the UI and like bring focus to it.
Yeah, just kind of place them, call action to it. You can change the colors, show different states, mess around quite a bit with these without having to like go outside of XD to start thinking of your plugin.
Yeah.
Also, then again, we also encourage you to just feel free to use abstract shapes, which we do all the time as well. All right, are we ready to kind of start
you read
jumping
my
in?
mind. Let's do it. I think we have thoroughly unpacked the UI kit, and now we're going to see how people have used it.
And this is not a competition that's over or anything, right?
No,
I'm not sure.
no.
Like, you can keep continuing posting this.
And it's also it's not a competition. We are excited to see everything everyone's doing, and I think this is really something to have to be ongoing. And I know that we'll do this again. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure with what frequency, but it's like the best way that we can kind of interact and communicate with you all. So let's see. Yeah, do you have something pulled up, or I do if you don't.
Since I'm plugged in. Oh, are you on? You're on. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go. Yeah. Okay, so I have pulled some from the Twitter hashtag.
Concept.
Again, I don't know that I said this, but Howard has been really great about sharing information about this. If you design a feature using this Adobe XD UI kit, share your designs on Twitter is the best way, and hashtag it DesigningXD, and then it'll be in the aggregate with all the rest of the features designed with this UI kit, and we'll see it. So I've kind of pulled out some just like to have in tabs, and then we can maybe go back and forth and then go to the stream. Or to the Twitter stream and see kind of and scan what we missed. So this is Adobe Icons Concept for XD. You could see that this is by Ed Sarkisian, and
thank you for your submission.
Thank you so much. They've used the XD UI kit, you can tell. These like abstract.
And these things take time to think of. Like we might pass through them. So thank you for putting in your time and effort.
Let's see. I'll get it back in the beginning here. So maybe I'll make it full screen too. Okay, so we have a mobile design inside of our UI kit, and let's just watch this. I hope this comes through. Yeah.
All icons.
So I have I'm gonna just go through it slowly so nobody misses anything. But so there is a new icon down in the bottom above the assets panel icon, and that opens up a tab that basically is an icons search. It has a bunch of icons
that I think you can kind of generate and pick up. Yeah,
and then you can search for one, and there's an area where you have favorited ones, which is that's really nice to have all those different options, because I definitely use several of the same icons over and over. So we're going to search, and as we start to type heart, we
select one and you drop one onto the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's magically, yeah, I was gonna just say, I was wondering how it knew to be white. Content-aware icon color made possible by acquisition of Stark and integration into Sensei. Wishful thinking. Very cool. I don't know what Stark is.
I don't either.
Livestream, tell us. Collective knowledge. Yeah,
But that's interesting. We annotate our designs like this too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a tip for anybody else who's designing these too. Like, you can feel free to annotate your designs.
Yeah, I would love to know, Ed is doing some advanced things. Like, I'm not exactly sure how.
Oh, Ed's right there. Hey, thank you.
Oh, hi, hey, really nice job. Like, this is a pretty advanced prototype where there's a lot of auto animation happening. I'm curious how you were able to actually make it look like you were typing.
Yeah.
Cool. And Stark is the colorblind simulation plugin. Oh, yes. Okay, I think I saw it in our plugins list. Yeah, Ed Baptist, you're correct. I did notice that little logo. So I guess that's Stark is a plugin that if you drag and drop,
it senses the background color.
It
and probably provides the right
proper contrast.
Contrast that you
That's really cool. Which would make sense if you're dragging an icon that's a black outline onto a black background. It's gonna say there's not enough color contrast for people with color blindness. So I'm gonna make this white, so that's cool. And integration into Sensei, great, yeah. So maybe Sensei could sort of like scan this design and know that there's a black background and there's a lot of white text on it and make its best guess about what color we want the icons to be. Very cool. I think, is that it?
Is there a little bit more of the video still?
Assets panel.
Okay, you're adding it to the assets
and then
panel.
Maybe this is saying it automatically
adds it to the asset panel once you favorite it.
As a symbol?
Yeah, which makes sense. Like,
or this is kind of, what I'm getting from this is that if you just pull it onto the canvas, it becomes a symbol.
Okay, or that. I assumed if it was one of your, why would you want it all the time in your favorites? You would, from your favorites coming into symbols, you would want it to just show up if you've used it in your design. Good thinking there.
That's an interesting shortcut. And we do think in that way when we're designing features in XD. We try to, collect a lot of information about how you all are using the product and then do things that are shortcuts for you and responsive resize. Man, I'm really talking about responsive resize a lot, but that's what I worked on. And so I know that went into our thinking with that of we know people are designing in multiple sizes across different screen widths. So we can just assume that they want to resize in a way that maintains certain relationships. So I think that's really cool, Ed, that you're also thinking in that way with shortcuts.
Got it.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Do you want to look at one?
Ed did more than one. Well, let's give room to more people.
Oh, okay.
This one's a little bit harder. Let's do yours first. Since you have it up.
So, this one
is a new mode proposal.
Yeah, let's see. I pulled this from Twitter, and I want to actually make sure that I credit who did it because I opened the
Tim,
prototype.
the Twitter handle that it comes from is Tim Evil Cersei.
Evil Cerise.
Cerise. Oh, I've been watching too much Game of Thrones. Can you tell?
So
Also, great use of a public prototype on XD.
yes. Yeah. This is also how we share work for real inside of Adobe.
Although, a new XD, a new mode. I'm not sure what's happening here.
Well, I think... So what I'm seeing is that this is a general proposal for dark mode.
Oh, I didn't even... Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. Okay.
And, well, because I think it's more or less the UI kit as, like, with the same kind of pieces as in here.
Got it.
I don't think I'm... Yeah. I don't know that anything...
Yeah, it's a general proposal for dark mode.
Yes. So, let's like look at all the different dark mode because this comes up a lot. And so here's one from Onday Gordon. And this is my rehash of an already brilliant tool to be more in tune. Oh, okay. No, this isn't dark mode. I'm sorry. This is a concept that's basically optimizing XD for 2 monitors. And so some of those features include draggable workspace, the ability to swap colors, adding rulers and guides, extra align features, tabbed workspace, blend modes, more text options. Oh, yes, and dark UI. Okay. So let's look at this. This kind of, okay, cool. So this is actually for Windows, it looks like, which is great. We are Mac users here at Adobe, but we still, like, one of the great things about XD is that it's a design tool for Windows as well. So thank you for designing for Windows. Okay, cool. Got our different like icons and scroll bars and UI items. I feel like they have, I think Onday has done these icons. I feel like he did a little, like, didn't just take the
ones that we
icons from our UI kit. There's some customization for Windows, which is great. And if you're on the live stream, please correct our pronunciation of your name. I am sensitive to that as someone who gets my name mispronounced.
I think I'm cured of it. I'm kind of like, whatever. You
Oh,
try.
it doesn't. No, I don't. It doesn't offend me, but I do hope people correct me because I will make the effort. Okay, so this is really cool. This is a layout of different kind of tabbed workspaces. This is definitely taking XD and like making a nod to our more
other CC.
Yes.
Sister CC
What am I
apps.
trying to say? It's like definitely in the style of Photoshop and Illustrator and being able to like have really flexible, customizable workstations, which is not, that's not the way XD is right now. You have kind of a fixed right panel and left panel. So
yeah, so I guess the industry term is like dockable, non-dockable panels. That's interesting. Okay.
So we have artboards and layers over here, and then like text as its own panel, artboard, there's layers, appearance as its own panel that you could pull out. And then this is maybe, okay, sure, just like a shortened version of the appearance panel. Great. If, yeah, you have only certain things selected. And this is a close-up on the appearance panel. I think what's new, well, maybe we're just looking at this individually, but we have a space for blend mode. Oh, cool. And then we have a screen where we're designing on the canvas, and you can sort of see hints of a ruler. That's great. And then, of course, we have our guides.
I think they've created their own Easter egg, too.
Yes.
Or Easter fruit.
Easter fruit. And you can see the toolbars like kind of pulled out. This is great. This is basically like a redesign. I wonder if this is like a UI kit for Windows.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so yes, I think what's happening here is ideally this would be shown side by side. So this is a concept for people who have 2 monitors. So this would be on one monitor, and then you could have all of your like panels pulled out into your other monitor if you're working left to right. So this is really cool. I played with this before we came on, but this is like they're, I believe, using XD's prototyping drag feature.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a really nice hint here. So I'm gonna pull this over here. I wanna like spread it out. Drag properties to beside text. So now I'm gonna take it over here. And they're definitely using auto animate and drag and just really taking advantage of cool prototyping features. Yeah, so this is a really fun look at how like a very expandable XD would work.
Yeah, you almost changed the framework of the app, which is not what I would think to do, but is appreciated. This is a neat use of the drag functionality.
I actually don't know how they have just embedded this one interactive screen in a Behance post.
Interesting.
Very cool.
I appreciate that joke. The banana tool makes your designs appealing.
Oh, that's awesome. Very funny, Michael. And then I see Zaryab saying that the current XD design is simpler and easier, so just not having draggable panels. Photoshop and Illustrator are confusing. What do you all think? It is a choice that we have made, like from the foundation of XD and some of the newer generation tools at Adobe. We know that a lot of our kind of bedrock tools are, I think we say a lot like the cockpit effect, where it's just like all of the things are out there, and it can be really overwhelming for first-time users. So Zaryab's saying that they never learned to use those tools because the UI was too overwhelming. And so that's something that we always are thinking about as we, on one hand, get a lot of feature requests from you, our friends and fellow designers. There's things that you want to see in the UI and things that you want to do. But that means like adding more and more and more to the property inspector, and that is definitely how toolbars and panels get big, because we want you all to be able to do everything that you want to do. So it's fun designing these new generation of tools where we're intentionally keeping it simple and like showing less things.
I think that we call it contextual UI. Only showing you what you with AI or with smarter tools now we can more or less 90% of the time predict what tools at least you might need at your disposal when you have something specific selected on your canvas.
Yes.
I think it kind of reduces the confusion that you have of like, sometimes I think also when you're designing in Illustrator and stuff, there are so many details you tend to over design. And for an illustrator, you need those details, but as a UX designer, you want lesser and lesser of those details.
Yeah. It's exciting to kind of like be working on these new tools and that inform new ways of working. So there's some discussion on the live stream. Michael says that he likes the idea of customizable panels, but likes that XD is contextually aware, and that kind of saves having everything all out at once. Nicholas is making the point that it could be something that you enable or disable.
That's fair.
That's cool. I like that idea. And we try to think about that too, like responsive resize. You can turn on and off. So like we totally get that. Sometimes you want those options and sometimes you don't. Howard's saying he would love to see layers and assets at the same time, but probably wouldn't want to drag panels around. Yes, I also would do the carrot that Michael and Ed are doing. I agree, and that is definitely something we talk about as a team. There's like a very strong use case for having your assets panel
and your layers panel available at the same time.
Totally get that.
I haven't run into that issue yet, but I'm also only 8 months old, so I think eventually as my designs evolve further, I will maybe feel the need for it.
Yeah. So, and then we have dark mode. This is a thing that I see people on Twitter are talking about a lot, dark mode. Maybe this is a controversial statement, but I don't I don't get it. I don't understand why dark mode is a thing that people talk about a lot.
I was a film minor in college, and I associate dark modes with editing video. Yeah. And maybe like Premiere and all those video After Effects.
Yeah.
Those I think
Photoshop
are
is this way too.
Yeah. And like exactly when your image, I think you're working with like high res colors and images, you want that to be the focus.
Okay.
And especially they're like also displayed most of the time on screens that have a black edge, right? Yeah. So it kind of helps mimic that. I wonder if in UI UX, I think it comes down to personal preference. I think have never explored trying to work in dark mode when I'm making UX or UI. Like, it doesn't.
So I understand that I think two things. I know that Mac just implemented the ability to have a dark mode. And then I also know that it's easier on the eyes. So the kind of coding that I've done or working in text editor tools, Michael actually just chimed in. I was going to say a really similar thing. It's easier on the eyes. If you're spending a lot of time on the computer, it's not like when you have bright white light shooting at your eyes, like that is a thing that will wear your eyes out. So I totally get it for that. Michael says easier on the eyes, you can focus on your content.
So it just adds that.
And it's just like maybe a more soothing work environment for people. I guess it is. I don't mean to be dismissive in any way. I see dark mode a lot, and for me, it's not something I miss or need. But we hear you. We see you.
I think it's also might be a function of like actually using it and then realizing you want it.
Maybe you're
Yeah.
right. It's funny because
Which is how I feel
ironically,
about it.
my Chrome is right now in dark mode, and I don't remember that happening, but they made that choice for me. So my web browser is in dark mode. Okay, so we have. Oh, it's cool. So somebody was saying, I think was it Nicholas was saying this is something that could be turned on and off, and actually, that's what they have mocked up, saying. You can have tabbed projects. So, cool. What else is in here?
Oh, you can. This is similar to what you
fun.
can do in Illustrator and Photoshop, like put in the modes that you want to use.
Cool, yeah. And like really kind of maybe customize
Yep.
the themes. This is very extensive. Thank you for this work. And this is, I think we've seen this before. Cool, thank you. I want to appreciate this. Cool. Let's see.
I can jump into one
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
have like right in front of me right now.
Great. Okay.
So this one's fairly simple. So this is an element-based 3D rotator plugin. So good use of that plugin modal that we talked about.
Can
And
you pop it in a full screen?
oh,
She's full screen.
Oh.
Just when we go.
Oh, me. Yes.
and it seems like I'll go closer in. So here's the use of a preset. So you have a custom rotation. So if you have any shapes that you already have placed in your canvas, you would be able to add some depth to it and change around the angles. This is a good job of just using one screen, and I know immediately what this functionality might be. I think this could be useful, especially in when you're, at least for me, when I was making my portfolio, you always want to take your UI and make it a flat image and put it on top of some kind of a surface or like a mobile thing, and usually they're a little bit tilted or something.
Yeah.
So if you can append this in there, I wonder if it also could be useful to some, I don't know why, but I'm thinking of, that game Farmville or something, like
Sure.
game designers, if you want to do a quick mock-up
Yeah.
in XD and just like lay down some basic shapes and
Yeah.
like kind of figure out the UI around it. I think it could be a useful tool.
And now we have the ability to use a game controller,
Yes,
right? That's live. That's in the public build, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm.
It might be something that you were dreaming about.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's a good point that this could be used for game
Yeah.
design.
Yeah. Like if you're laying out the UI for it. All right. Let's look at this one. Ooh. All right. I think this one is if you okay. Ooh, I hit play. If you hit okay, you hit that play button and it throws it into a mobile. I think that's like totally useful. That's something.
So that's nice because it's an improvement on what we do now, which is just to give it the just
Like-
the size of the screen.
Right.
And so this is like actually putting it in a phone frame.
Yeah. When you're taking a look at your prototype, you can kind of just see it inside a device especially because in stop.
This
your
one's by
prototype.
Zaryab. Right?
I think good point. I should credit the person who created this. Abhishek. Ask them.
Or did we maybe just talk about it?
Did we talk about this one already?
I'm not totally sure if
Oh, is it? Oh, what the one that was
Sorry,
Oh, this probably is.
oh yeah.
Is that in white?
That was the okay, cool. And then this one
Yeah.
is maybe
Oh, I think the one that maybe someone linked.
oh yeah, Tim. Yes, you're welcome. That was you. Cool.
We have Friday brains right now. I think one of the things that I wanted to mention over here was that I think this becomes incredibly useful for something like, oh, come on, stop video. For something like an iPhone, where there is kind of like that bevel in the middle, and you kind of just want to make sure that the
Yeah.
parts that are gonna get cropped out.
That's
and
true.
also, I'm I'm sure you guys have seen it on XD, but I think I wonder if I can do this in Play. But when you do that, you see this like little white circle that shows you kind of like the touch surface area. So when you have an app frame, it kind of tells you what parts of it, what parts of the screen someone might touch and might get covered as options.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not want to save this file. That's just an example. All right.
I have a couple, unless
go ahead.
You want to keep.
Jump in.
Well, I just thought this was funny. Adam.
Oh, I saw this one. Yeah, this one is cool.
Adam has designed what the third tab is, and I just thought this was cute. It's applying the wow effect.
Oh, I kind of read this as like a watermark. On your that's what I read it as.
Maybe so.
But I might be overthinking it. Like
Maybe
my
so.
over practical brain is trying to make a use case for this.
I like this. I thought
Because
that was creative.
in a lot of our user feedback sessions, we found that users have a hard time reiterating to their customers. Designers have a hard time reiterating to their stakeholders that this is not final.
Right.
This is just FPO, and that happens internally
For
too.
placement only.
Yeah, for placement only. And I have increasingly been putting FPO on my designs because sometimes people assume that it's final because it looks so final. That's the purpose of a prototype.
And that goes back to what we were talking about like using these very low fidelity wireframes to direct people's eyes where we want them to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is maybe not what what Adam had meant for, but it's a good idea for adding a watermark to your things.
Yeah, that's a plugin that I wonder if we already have it, but maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to show this one because I really liked it, and this is by Osama, and it's just a really like concise image showing a feature that is will fix a layer to the top, which is a really good idea. I think of all that we've seen, this one resonated the most to things that happen in my workflow. I'm always like moving things around, and then when you copy new elements onto a page, then like that needs to be shifted in the Z order. And I would find this very useful because there's certain things for me, it's like I'm doing a mock-up and I have a cursor that's showing what the user is clicking on. And I know that I always want the cursor to be on top, but sometimes I'm taking UI out and then adding others, and it's like, oh, I have to go find my cursor. It's down there, and either you can go into the layers panel, but I like the idea of just like saying, this
Fix it
is
to the top.
the all-time, I want this to be on the top all the time. So, and this is a really nice, like very concise image of just showing how that would work. So you have I just think this is like a really good way to show your design that's kind of giving you everything you need to know in one image. It's both selected on the canvas and in the assets panel, and I'm guessing that you're right-clicking on it in the assets panel because that's where your cursor is, and then you're showing an option in that right-click menu to fix layer to top. I would, you could probably, I would imagine right-click on canvas, I would guess.
Yes.
And have those options in both places. So this is really cool. Thank you.
I think it's like
Osama.
selected on both sides, so it's saying that those both options might be available.
Sure. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Osama, for that submission.
Did we miss any others?
We're definitely missing some. Sorry, we can't gotten to all of them.
Yeah.
But do you have one you want to show?
Sure. Actually, one of the more important things that I wanted to definitely bring up is that this plugin accelerator that we were talking about, again, it's on the Adobe blog, and this is kind of like one of the big reasons why we put out that UI kit. Feel free to mess around with it. Think of how a lot of the ideas that you gave us, I think a fair number of them could easily be proposals for plugins.
Yeah,
So feel free to like browse through this. This has all the details of how it works, who you might possibly reach out to, the kind of things we might be looking for.
Yeah.
So the information's out there.
And there's money for you.
Yes.
Like, we really appreciate you all taking your time and submitting these designs on your own time. And it would be cool to see you take the next step and apply for the plugin accelerator and then get some money for your work.
Not just money, yeah. It says we will help you kind of get to the final stage.
And a support system.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I know we just have like a couple minutes left, but there was one that I wanted to
Absolutely, go for
show. This is submitted by Cecilia, and she said, what I'm getting from this tweet is that she's kind of a newer UI designer, and she's learning to design using XD, and so she's designed
that's
this
the best kind of work.
prototype that's like just a mobile prototype for a website, and I like seeing this work because it's exciting to see someone who's just starting out with UI and just starting to use XD. Those are the people that we think about. I don't want to say the most because we're trying to think about all our users, and we design features definitely for people who are very experienced. But these, I think, are the people that like strike a chord in my heart as someone who is self-taught. Like, these are the people that we want to make sure we're making XD like very easy to use. So it's cool to see that Cecilia has made a prototype and has taken a website and made it mobile, and then mocked up this interaction of opening the menu. And I think there's also kind of a third like drop down page that I'm not quite doing it right, but we have this and then
hit menu.
I know there's a way to kind of show that drop down, but anyway, cool work, Cecilia, and keep it up. Thank you for submitting. And I know that there's more, and I'm so sorry that we didn't get to all of them, but I think we're
going to continue these.
Yes. I hope that if you all are watching and you haven't submitted, that you do from now on. I know that some of you submitted multiple. Ed, your other ring prototype concept.
Yeah, that was one we were like
super cool.
Even the one where you could, I think it was by Zed, the controlling the motion of the of the
really
animation.
Cool stuff, you all. Thanks for hanging with us as we kind of talk about these things, and keep submitting. I think anything that was missed, maybe Talon will catch it on another one.
Yeah, multiple submissions are definitely welcome. Revise them too if you thought of improvements, and definitely like keep submitting. I think we'll definitely pick this back up again.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, filling in for Talon this week. Hope everyone's having a good Friday, whatever time zone you're in, and hope you have a great weekend, and we will catch you next time.
All right, bye.